All right, welcome to the Nexul Academy channel. Today we're going to interview Amber Hubbard, a recent graduate of Nexul Academy and who started a job recently. Let's go ahead and start. Amber, so what was your early explorations into coding like?
Well, I had no experience and really no knowledge of it until I heard about a program called LaunchCode here in St. Louis. I was a little skeptical because I know nothing about coding, but the way it was presented is that it should be able to kind of get you introduced, get you started, and it was free. So I was like, well, I'll take a look and see if it's something I'm interested in. So I signed up for LaunchCode back in 2016. Went through the program. It was a bit fast-paced for someone who doesn't know anything. But it was a good introduction to kind of get a feel for programming and what's required. But I just don't think it was enough at that point. It was just barely touching the surface. So at that point, I completed the program, but I wasn't able to get into like an apprenticeship or get a job offer because I was still not comfortable with coding. So after I graduated, I took a little bit of a break and did a little, home practice, free code camp, those type of websites just to try to keep myself familiar. But unfortunately, I was still struggling. And so there was this group called, I think it's meetup.com or something, and there was an event that they were having, and they had a suggestion for a course, which was Nexul Academy with Mike, and it was like an introductory meeting at, I believe it was Venture Cafe, and I went to it, and that was back around maybe 2017, I feel like, maybe 18. I met with Mike, and it was the perfect program for me. It was C#, it did a lot of the front end. The only problem was a schedule conflict. So I couldn't take it then because with my schedule, I wouldn't be able to, take the course full time as well as have the time to practice afterward. So another year or so, maybe 2, went by, and my schedule changed, and I ended up reaching back out to Mike.
Okay, yeah. And at the time, that was an apprenticeship at AOE Solutions, right?
Yes. So we went through the course, and a lot happened sometimes. So at the time that I started the course, it was going really great, but I ended up being pregnant. I had my child, which threw a little monkey wrench there. So I went through the course as long as I could, but I did eventually have to stop, and then eventually had my son. But I came back really soon, like almost 2 weeks after he was born. That's how dedicated I was. And so it was difficult, but still familiar to get back into it because of the way the program is. You have access to, the videos you have usually available. And so that was the deciding factor, and that's what I felt like makes the difference for especially newer developers. If you don't have any previous experience, sometimes you need someone that's able to be there to really try to answer the questions or explain it in a way if you don't get it the first time. And so that was something I really, really appreciated because sometimes I don't always get it. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. And being able to talk it out, for me, makes a very, very big difference.
Yeah. And is that different than what it was like when there was help sessions in other programs?
Yes. And I mean, it could be the free part of it all, but, there are unlimited resources, and it's probably maybe 20, 30 students per mentor. And you don't want to be selfish either. Obviously, if you're struggling, there could be 10 other people that are struggling. And I think that it takes away from being able to really get the one-on-one if you're having trouble. And I think that's what happened with LaunchCode. Great program, but it's just if you don't have that understanding, it's hard to catch up because it's not enough one-on-one time. Everything is at a limited amount of time. You don't have every day to work on, the courses. It's like really, really strict, if you will. And I think that if you are a full-time, parent, if you work full-time, trying to stay within those confines make it a little bit harder to get that understanding.
Okay. And with the apprenticeship, there was a work period at the end, correct? And how did that work out?
So with the program, once you get to a certain point, if there was one available, which in my case there was, you will sign on with the company in they will, it's almost like part-time hours, but you're actively working on real-world projects, as well as still having that available mentorship, because when it's an apprenticeship, the companies are aware that you're not the best coder in the world at that time. So they're willing to help you and work with you. And that is also amazing because I know, me personally, imposter syndrome is real. And it's something I constantly fight with. So being able to work somewhere that is understanding of the fact that you may have recently graduated from a boot camp or something, they're receptive and do their best to try to accommodate and still get that experience to become a better developer.
So once you were done with the program and you finished your final project, which is just doing work for the company in the apprenticeship, what was it like? And was there a job search process, or what happened after that?
Well, in my particular case, and probably in the very extended time that I did this, it kind of worked out to where at that point they did have an available position after the apprenticeship, and that was offered to me. And so when that time comes, of course, it's amazing, but you're still a little nervous because you're like, am I really ready? Imposter syndrome. But again, just being able to have the type of support with a teacher who's available, the type of support with a company that understands where you're coming from, it works out perfectly. I mean, and just in my case, I don't think there's a better fit at this time for me outside of GWS. I think that all the employees, like everyone, would just have a great energy, and having that type of environment helps as well. So for me, it has been an amazing experience, and I'm glad that I joined the program, which led to the job with the people that I really, really like.
That's awesome. And so what is it like from day to day? Like, do you struggle with any coding issues now, and how does that get addressed, and who helps out?
So yes, still being new, unfortunately, as much as I'm sure most of us want to just know it, it's practice. It's real live, implementing of these ideas and seeing how they really work. And so when you go through day to day, you have an assignment of some sort, a task, a feature that you're working on or fixing or cleaning up, whatever may be the case. And then if you do get stuck, you can always reach out to really anyone. They're willing to help. And Mike's always available as far as I'm concerned when he's available. He'll definitely provide. So having that support system is a big deal. And it's a comfortability thing too. You feel comfortable asking for the help, and that way you can continue to learn and get over those hurdles that you'll continue to deal with in software development.
Yeah, great. So overall, how would you feel that the program and getting into tech affected your life as a whole, just outside of just the job itself?
Well, I would say that I have more freedom, which in today's society, that is rare. You don't get a lot of jobs and careers where you do just have a little more freedom. You're usually tied to some sort of desk, or you're just really, really restricted on what you can do outside of your work hours. And for me, that was life-changing because I worked really late at night. I have a newborn child who cares nothing about time and anything else. So being able to adjust made a difference, and it made me appreciate the opportunity, the skill set that I've learned, and obviously in the future as I get better, just being able to do something that gives me a challenge and that I actually enjoy, while still being able to live life. I feel like sometimes we get bogged down with work, and that's all we have time for.
Have you found in tech jobs that, what's a flex schedule even mean? What's that like?
Well, for me, it's the combination of hybrid, like where you can work from home, you can come into the office. A lot of companies, they can offer that, but it's not really as hybrid as they claim. You're mostly in the office with maybe 1 or 2 not in the office days. You're working remote. So for me, that hybrid, it's a good combination because I personally like the feel of an office. It doesn't mean I want to be at the office all the time. So having the ability to come in, work with each other, the camaraderie and the encouragement and help, from fellow developers is something that makes the opportunity and the job worthwhile because it's the perfect fit for my life. It's what I like to do in a language I'm pretty familiar with, because you can always learn something new, but it was something I had been working on for a while. So it felt good to work on getting that understanding and getting a job where you're actually able to develop in that language. Sometimes you can learn a language and then you get hired and you have to learn something else. So I was pretty lucky that's not the case.
All right, great. Anything final about?
I just would say it's worthwhile. If you want to get into computer programming, Nexul Academy is a very, very good program to do so because with Mike's experience, I mean, you know, he knows quite a few languages. So if you ever come into contact with something that is not normal or you don't know much about, he can at least give you some sort of insight or direction to work with. He has a overall great way of explaining it. And sometimes that's what you need. You just may not be getting it through the documentation or watching the videos, and having someone who's been doing that for years explain it, it makes a lot of sense. And I think with how complex coding can be, having that is what allows people to go to the next level. If you don't have that understanding, you are going to be scared and you're not going to want to do it anymore because you're going to feel like, I don't understand and I'll never understand. So in comparison to what I've done in the past, you know, working on my own, Nexul Academy was exactly what I needed. It was the right amount of help with a really, really structured coursework so that I could focus on what I needed to learn. So if you want to get into coding, I think Nexul Academy is the best choice.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and that's it for today. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.